Hey everybody, I'm making a game. It's called the Godkiller. It's a 3D top-down puzzle solving adventure game. You're gonna love it. When you finally get a chance to play it, you're gonna love it. It's gonna be great. Unless you don't like the type of game I'm making, then you won't love it at all. You'll hate it. You'll hate it. You won't enjoy it, and you'll play it for 23 seconds, and you'll say, fuck this stupid piece of shit game. And you'll move on to the next thing. But for the rest of you, you're gonna love this game. You really will. Okay. Let me show you a demo of what I did yesterday. So I made a routine that checks what are the game objects inside of a scene which are part of the active space of the game. So in other words, the space where things can happen that matter to the player when the player is playing. And you see this yellow box. Well, it's a bounds box, and it contains all of the objects, all of the game objects that meet certain criteria. The criteria are pretty simple. The object has to be active in the scene, and it has to not have the ignore raycast layer. Actually, more specifically, it needs to have the default layer. So what this does is it analyzes the scene. It looks at every single game object, and it says, you know, this bounds box, let's make it grow so it contains every single qualifying object. And then it looks at like this object, which is meant as like scenery, and it says, oh, it doesn't have the right layer. Instead of having default layer, it's got this ignore raycast layer. If I set this to default, look what happens. The bounds box automatically enlarges to contain this other object here. If I turn it back off and say ignore raycast, bam, it's just background. So this cuboid defined by these yellow lines here, this bounds box, it will have everything that matters to the player inside of it, and no scenery, no background stuff. And it's going to get me out of a little trap I had before of explicitly describing what the bounds was. I no longer have to do that. So I had this thing called a depth cast zone, which is synonymous with the active zone or active to the player concept I just described. And I had to kind of drag around the points of it and make sure that if I would, while I was creating the level, that you know, if I made the level a little bit larger, that zone would be also enlarged to contain everything that the player interacted with inside of it. I don't have to mess with it anymore. That was the source of, you know, maybe on average 15 minutes of screwing around for each level. If I'm going to make 100 levels, I think I'll make more than that. I think it'll be like 300, 400 levels. Then that means, you know, like 100 hours of messing around with problems related to this explicitly defined bounding. Now I don't have to worry about that. So it's never my aim to make things that are cool in the game just for the sake of the coolness. There's got to be some payoff. It's got to make the game better for the player. It's got to make, you know, my productivity increase in such a way they'll be able to get more done. This is in the latter category. It's going to help me. Okay, that was the demo. Every stream is structured such that there's a demo at the beginning, and then I go into working on something that goes into this game. The game is the Godkiller. That's the name of the game. Now, you might have noticed, by the way, just that I'm talking, if you compare me to other streams, it's a little bit looser. Where does that come from? That comes from alcohol. I've had some alcohol. I went to a company party. I had half a bottle of wine. I say I went to a company party. I hosted a company party via video conferencing. Okay, so I'm not fully equipped in this session to take on a complex problem. So I'm going to give myself an easy problem to solve in this session, because every session needs to solve a problem, needs to handle a mission, needs to get it done. It's following the Mr. Meeseeks strategy. Give me a simple task, I get the task done, I die when the task is done. So you're going to watch me accomplish a less ambitious task than usual, and after that I'm going to die, meaning I'll disconnect from the stream, and that will be the end of the stream, just like Mr. Meeseeks of Rick and Morty fame. Okay, so what will be the task I'll accomplish during this stream, which will be very short, by the way. It will be extremely short. 10 to 15 minutes is what I'm predicting at this moment. I'm going to remove unwanted materials from a third-party asset. Why are they unwanted? Because when I go to one of the objects in my scene and I click on the inspector to bring up a list of available materials that I might apply to that object, there's a long list. I've made it much shorter by culling some of the assets, but there's still quite a few here. I notice the bulk of them are coming from a third-party asset called RPG Character. I don't hold against RPG Character that so many materials are there, because those materials were there for the purposes of that package. But for my purpose inside this game, they shouldn't be there. So I'm going to delete these materials. I don't need them. And as a result, whenever I click on this little button that brings up the material selector, I'll have many less materials to select from, and that will declutter and I'll optimize my authoring of scenes and 3D geometry and materials that apply to them. Alright, so go to the third-party asset in question, which is RPG Character Animation Pack. Can you tell I've had half a bottle of wine in me? Yes, I don't need such a large scene here. I mainly need this bottom area to be kind of large. I've installed previously a tool called Find Reference To. I'm going to show you how wonderful it is for deleting things you don't need. So I go into Materials, and this thing has 4 references to it, and it makes me think like maybe there's something else that's referencing this material that might be important. So I'm going to see if I can kind of untangle this such that that number of references goes down to 0, and probably the models are referencing that. So this one says 2. I'm going to try. So these ones have no number next to them. That means nothing is referencing them. I'm just going to wait. Before I delete it, let me do one thing. Get status. Basically, I'm doing a save here. Okay. So if I want to, I can revert back to this point. If I delete something that I need, I can just revert. I'll be fine. Okay. So let me delete this. Delete. All right. Cool. Weapons. I'm going to delete everything that doesn't have a number next to it. Oh man, if I get through this without making any mistakes, it won't be a testament to my faculties. It will be a testament to this third-party asset called Find Reference To, because I am in no state to be changing code inside of my own project. Okay, let me delete this. Delete. Okay. So I'm going to keep on deleting stuff. And I'm going to do it in this sort of brain-dead way where I'm not thinking too hard about it. Just delete anything that's got no number to it. It's almost like solving a Sudoku. There is a smarter way to do this, but I'm not feeling that smart right now. So I'm just gonna follow this practice of deleting things that don't have numbers next to them. The numbers are references. Other things are using them. So in theory, anything inside of this package that is just referencing inside the package, I can get. I can delete it eventually, but it just takes like some kind of tracing through it. So a scene is a great thing to delete. If I delete a scene, that's sort of like a top level container that will contain many other assets. So delete scenes, and many references probably just died there. Okay, just delete, delete. This is just the stupid way to do this, but this fantastic new asset that I added should let me do it with impunity. Scenes is empty. Delete scenes. Delete. Oh, scenes. I love to delete scenes. Delete them. Delete them. See that? Test terrain went down to 0. There's no number next to it because it was referenced by the scenes. So that allows me to delete that, which might elsewhere free references to materials. Test zone. Delete, delete. Delete, delete. This is kind of fun. This is kind of fun. I'm wondering, like, do I actually need anything from this asset at all? I'm going to find out at the end. I know originally that I used it to get animations from, because there's a lot of great animations in this that apply to like a humanoid avatar character. But I might have just copied them all over. Ooh, a whole bunch of materials I can delete. All of these are removed from that little inspector dialog. So I just deleted a whole bunch of stuff that I don't have to look through when I'm selecting a texture anymore. Code. Do I need any code in here? I don't think I do. So I'm assuming when they have, oops, this is still referenced somewhere. I could probably just be brave and delete all of these scripts, but I'm kind of enamored with this idea that I might just use these reference counts to reduce the whole thing. Which so far is working great. That's still being referenced. I can see like what specifically references something. So I go FR2, you say select used. Huh. Level used it? I don't get that. Level used it. Okay, I don't understand that part of it. Whatever. I'll leave that for now. Keep deleting stuff. And the truth is, I may want more of these animations in the future, but I can bring them back in. I can re-import them as needed. Okay, delete all these. See, I see all those ones there, and I kind of know I could just delete them, but again, I'm just loving this idea that I could sort of reduce it like an algebraic equation, and maybe the initial equation is this complicated thing that fills up an entire chalkboard, but originally it just comes down to x equals 0 or something like that. So I'm playing with that idea a little bit. Ooh, level, that was referenced earlier. Nice. Get to delete the materials. Okay, all this can go. Okay, got rid of all the models. I think I might have already removed all references to this asset earlier. Okay. If that's the case, then what I'm doing is a little bit silly, but it's a nice double check. Okay, and that's gone. No references to those. Swimming I might actually come back to, but that's okay. I can re-import them as needed. Okay, any references? No references. All the animations are deleted. Now at this point, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get to delete this entire asset. Which is great. It's just kind of like a double check that nothing in my main project is still referencing it. And, oh, what are you doing? What's the spinning for? Okay, whew. All right, that's it. So this whole thing I can just delete. I don't need it. Now let me see if I deleted too much. There's an easy way for me to check. I can go to my prefabs, and I can go to one of the prefabs that I know is based off of animations I took from that third-party asset that I just deleted, which is a good third-party asset. And I can just double-click her and see how she's doing. She looks fine. I'm not worried about her. I'm just not. I think it's all good. So let me just test the material inspector thing. So if I go here, not the mesh, where's the, let me go to something else. Okay, so we go here, and we scroll down. It's almost all on one page. In fact, if I just kind of go like that, no, it almost fits on one page now. So that's quite a bit better than what it was before. When I just kind of eyeball it, I see a few things that are also in third-party assets, but I'm not going to work on those right now. This is just a quick session. I just wanted to do a little bit of work. I'm not in good shape to do something ambitious right now, but I like to make some progress every day. There's a little number that you see. I'm going to see if I can point up to it here. It's a little number. So if you watch my finger and you watch where it's pointing, PED 15. So what that means is 15 days in a row I've made some progress on this project. Not just expended effort, but I made some kind of movement forward, brought the project, this game called the Godkiller, closer to completion, and this day is no exception. The 15th day. Progress every day, 15 days in a row. My previous record was 300 something, and then stuff happened. I fell off the wagon or something, and I had to start over. But I'm back on the wagon. Progress every day, 15 days in a row. I'm going to stop the stream now. Stopping the stream. Stopping it anytime. It could happen anytime I could stop the stream. It could be even now.